Good evening and welcome to the Taco Tuesday Tier 3 event in the Formula Racing League Assetto Corsa Competizione. Round 4 takes us to Mount Panorama in Bathurst, Australia. And we are just in the final 21 minutes of practice before the 50-minute qualifying and 60-minute race gets underway here. Tom Kenzie, our commentator, so I'll be going through everything you need to know in terms of what's happening during the course of tonight. We'll run down on everything that happened last week in the 90-minute special in Brands Hatch 7 days ago, where Darskell came back after his drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane to take a third victory from 3 from pole position. He has a very healthy lead in the championship now. The driver who finished second in the race was Cord, of all drivers, just moved him level on points with Kevin McKenzie in the battle for second position. So the two drivers tied on points and tied on the number of wins, second places, third, fourth, and so on. So it's a dead heat between those two in that matter. Both of them will be looking to go for another podium tonight. We do return to the normal format, 60-minute race with a mandatory pit stop included instead of 2. Can anyone catch Darskell and put an end to his run of pole positions and victories in Season 7 of Taco Tuesday in the Formula Racing League Assetto Corsa Competizione? Well, Darskell is coming around to complete a lap. In fact, let's go for a lap on board with Darskell, actually. Or maybe we go to Yaki, who wasn't around last week, so we'll go on board with him. Why not? Just want to get the right camera setting on. So here we go then for a lap of this Mount Panorama circuit in Bathurst. So braking to the 90-degree left-hander of Hell Corner, 105 kilometers an hour in second gear on power, nice and early, get a good exit because you need to carry all that speed through the up and down section before you go uphill to the right-hander of Quarry Bend through the mountain straight, and now to the right-hander of Quarry, 130 or 120 kilometers an hour he went through there. That was because he caught the curb on the inside. This is his first lap out on circuit, I believe, for Yaki, so he'll be wanting to get back into the groove through the left-hander there of the Cotton, and we're going through the right-hander of Griffins that's next, through the gears, up in third gear, through into fourth, just easing off the throttle as he goes through Reed and Solman, and then through McFinley very shortly. 200 kilometers an hour in fifth gear, and then back down the hill through Skyline and the S's, and he'll very shortly come to the dipper, but he's caught the barrier, he caught the curb and hit the barrier so hard it's damaged the car, and that's him back into the pit lane. We'll go to Mackenzie next because he's on a flying lap and he's looking as though he might improve on this one. So it's as we are. Through Griffins, through Reed Park, and then through the left-hander of Solomon Park that is next. And now we're coming towards McFinley Park. We went through there a lot quicker than what Yaki had done, 215 kilometers an hour. Down the gears into third gear, goes in a little bit too deep, but he manages to keep the car together. He will have lost time. Through the dipper he comes, and carrying through the S's, down to the left-hander of Forest Elbow, and then coming back onto the Conrod Straight. And like I say, it's important to get a really nice exit because the next braking zone is not until you get towards the Chase, which is over a kilometre away from the exit of Forest Elbow. So down into third gear, second gear. Important, just went a little bit too deep there and sacrificed some exit speed. But he managed to get the car slowed down in time. And now to the last corner, which is Murray's Corner. Down to first gear, get a really strong exit out of there, over the line, and that completes the lap of the Mount Panorama Circuit in Bathurst, Australia. Can anyone do better than what they've already been doing so far in this practice session? It won't determine the grid for later. It'll most certainly help them in terms of mileage during the course of tonight's action. It is a very tricky circuit to get right here, is Mount Panorama. I've had a few goes at it myself, and I'm not particularly that good at it. Requires a lot of skill, a lot of momentum to get right. We should have 20 drivers for this evening's race, including 3 reserve drivers who have been, I say called in, they've checked in for tonight. And to take note of who those 3 reserve drivers are. So, we've only got 2 reserve drivers, I should say. Manurse and Vantage. So, we should only have 19 for this evening's action, unless we get another reserve available in the last minute or so. But it's fine. 19 drivers will do for this evening. I think that's either the joint most or the highest number of starters for a Taco Tuesday Tier 3 race so far this season. We are now at round 4. We've got the likes of Palermo, who we've got in our picture at the present moment, 3rd fastest so far. Don't think he's competed yet so far this season. He wasn't around last week or the week before. No, this is his first race this season, so we've got a golden opportunity to see how he gets on. Narrowing avoid the wall there through Solomons. Through McPhillamry. Try and say that 10 times fast. And then through the S's. He'll shortly come towards the dipper. And this is Forest Elbow. He's exiting now. He's got this long straight, and this is where the second time beam will come out. Is he on a faster than that time that we did so before? It looks like he is at the moment. He is on a slight improvement from before, is Palermo. 13 minutes of practice remaining. Darskell goes to the top with a 2 minutes 3.3. We're not expecting lap times to go below the 2 minute mark. I'd be surprised if we did. Now, one important rule, because a number of drivers have been rage quitting in previous races so far this season, which is against the rules, as it can cause problems within the server. Frank was one of those last week. I was spoken to. High Grade was another one, but he's left the server for good now. So that is his season finished, unfortunately. And Lewis Mason's another one as well. He should be in for tonight. Of course, he will be warned. Oh, and Palermo clouted the wall there. He was able to improve his lap time there to keep hold of his 3rd place, and yeah, he stopped on circuit. He's damaged the car clearly, so that'll be him back into the pit lane. Now Darskell on a lap at the present moment. So he comes towards the chase. There's a car ahead of him. It's the 841 of LK ahead of him. I can't tell really whether he's on an outlap or this is a fine lap he's on. We'll assume for the time being he is on a flying lap. It was wide there on the exit of Murray's. He wasn't able to improve on that lap time. So who have we got that's on a flying lap at the present moment? Well, we've got the, what looks like the 3-2-1 of Frank on circuit, but he's not going particularly quickly. This is more like a leisurely fashion kind of pace. And there's a Bentley behind him. It's the 84 of Cablo. Cablo, who led a lot of the race last week at Brands Hatch before the rain intervened and conditions changed and it just all fell apart from him, really. He was able to bring the car home in a respectable 5th position. Could have been more though. And Facco, who was able to bring the car home for the 3rd race running, is now finished 5th at Imola, 6th in Misano, and a best result of 4th in Brands Hatch. Can he go one better here and claim his first podium of the season? And Facco in for his elbow onto the Comrod straight. Now, is this going to be a lap time for Facco to put on the board? It was an outlap, I think, for Facco, so we'll come away from him. Got a few other drivers who look to be on laps at the moment. I mean, Arnian's lap time of a 2 minutes 11.9 is not a respectable one or representative one. There he is in the McLaren. So Arnian goes over the line. And he starts another lap by the looks of it. No improvement there this time round. So 3. Is it the 393 that's on the racetrack? MPL it is. He doesn't quite improve his lap time, so he stays where he is. Now Ryan is over, or nearly 3 seconds off the pace to the man who is fastest, which is Darskell. And Ryan, so far in Season 7 Tier 3 of Taco Tuesday, he's 5th overall with 88 points, 35 off the championship lead, 2 8th place finishes at Imola and Brands Hatch, and a 3rd place finish in Misano. He's able to improve his lap time by around about half a second, moving him up into 7th position now. Yaki improving to 8th spot. And Facco goes up to 10th place, over 4 seconds off the fastest time. Now Mike is coming through. Conrad straight. Where's this going to put him in comparison to the rest? Sometimes not a representative one, so could do with a bit of luck this time around. And he runs wide there through Murray's. Now Palermo is coming through in the BMW. Going back to what I was saying about the championship, overall Darskell has 123 points. Kevin McKenzie and Cord are on 108 points each in second and third. It's a 15-point margin at this stage of the season. It's 40 points for a race victory, 38 for second, and it's 36, 34, 32, 30. And then you have to go, you carry on that pattern until you get to 12th place, where it's 19 points for finishing 12th, and it's 18, 17, 16, and it's a point difference for every position downwards. And you have to finish or complete 75% of the race leader's distance to score points. I was thinking to myself, how many laps do you have to complete in order to be given the points? And from what I heard from one of the admins within the FRL, a driver has to complete at least 75% of the race leader's distance in order to score points, otherwise it will count as a DNF. And there's Darskell continuing clocking up more and more mileage. You can see how hard he's pushing there through Salmons and McFlurries. And down towards the dipper. I think he stopped on circuit, actually he has, so he's back in the garage now. There's McKenzie. Don't know if he is on a fast lap. No, he's on an outlap by the looks of it. So we've got the 72 next behind of Yaki. You can see there in the blue and orange BMW. And now he's heading towards the left-hander of Murray's. And this lap time of his is not enough for him to move up the order. It wasn't an improvement anyway. Palermo does not improve either in the BMW. Facco is next. And he does improve his time, but stays 9th quickest. He's got just over 2 minutes to go before practice ends. 16 drivers are in the lobby at the present moment. Hopefully we'll get 1 or 2 more drivers joining in before qualifying starts. Just looking at the check-in to see who actually is meant to be in. I think it's 15 drivers plus 2 reserves, actually. I could well be wrong. There may be 16 drivers and 2 reserves, actually thinking of it. Well, Bruno's yet to come in. He's one of the full-time drivers. Both of the reserve drivers are in tonight, Vantage and Maners. And Palomo stops on the circuit. Vantage goes over the line to start his final attempt. It's a long circuit, is Mount Panorama, 6.2 kilometres. The circuit has played host to a lot of Australia's top motorsport series, including V8 supercars. It's played host to the Bathurst 1000. Circuit first opened in 1938. It's an FIA Grade 3 racetrack. It's also played host to a lot of other sports cars series, including the Intercontinental GT Challenge, the Bathurst Motor Festival, GT World Challenge Australia. And next year it's expected to host the 2023 World Athletics Cross Country Championships, which sounds very interesting. And the race lap record of this track been set by Christopher Mize with a 1 minute 59.291. That was set in 2018 in an Audi R8 LMS GT3. Well, the session has come to the checker flag now, so any driver on a fast lap can complete it. As I say before, this won't determine the grid, this is just practice for the drivers. 15 minutes of qualifying, so the drivers won't have long to get out there and get their fast laps in and put their place on the grid. A championship point is up for grabs in qualifying. Darskill's got all 3 of them so far. Maximum points for him in this campaign. And Yaki's the only driver on circuit at the present moment. I'll say that, they've got the 33 of Mai going straight on. In fact, Yaki's coming straight into the pits. So qualifying is underway now. 16 drivers in the lobby, all of which will be eager to get out there. Time is against them. And Arnian is the first to blink first and get his McLaren out there. Now the track is in its optimum window at the moment. Track temperature of 25 degrees, air temperature of 23. It's expected to be dry throughout this qualifying session. We'll find out soon enough in terms of what's happening in the racing. You see Arnian pushing too hard, too soon. This is their outlap after all, so Arnian not taking it carefully enough through McFinley Park. And he could have gone off into another racetrack had he caught the barrier. He's kept it on the island anyway. Just one driver in the pits at the moment, that's MPL. Mackenzie back in the pits now as well. I wonder if he's caught the barrier during the course of that outlap. Drivers need to back off a little bit here because they don't want to get in each other's way whilst they're doing their fine. That is a long lap after all. So Arnian will be the first driver to start a fast lap. Behind him is the, I think that's the other McLaren of Rhine. closing in. Now, I'm not sure Ryan has given himself enough space during the course of this fine lap. Is Onion maybe going to move out of the way? I think he is, you know. So these two on fast laps. And yeah, Ryan's caught up to the rear of Onion's McLaren now. And the 72 of Yaki, who's just come out of the pits actually, has just sort of slowed down to stay out of the way of the other drivers. Yeah, McKenzie's back in the pits again. He's not liking the circuit. He did say in the Discord server he was not a fan of this racetrack at all. And what will be going through his mind right now, and that's Arnian in the wall. And oh, he's taking Ryan with him. That's poor driving standards from Arnian. He knew Ryan was right behind him and he just couldn't move out of the way. Well, that'll be him into the pit lane. I'd imagine Ryan will be in the pits as well, because that car, yeah, he is. He will not be very happy with Arnian one bit. We'll go to Darskill next. So Darskill coming down, coming up and down the Conrod Straight. We are expecting lap times, I would say, around the 2:03 mark. Maybe 2:02. So over the line, there's a 2:03.2. Palomo goes second, 2 seconds off the pace. And next over the line, we've got Cord with a 1 minute, with a 2:05.2 as well. Vantage goes second with a 2:04.3. Next up is the 72 of Yaki, who's just starting the lap now, I believe. So next behind him is the 84 of Cablo, who goes only up to 5th place. It wasn't a very good lap from Cablo, unfortunately. Next up is the 21 of Maners, who I think his lap time is either invalidated or, you know, just completed an out lap. We've got the 777 of Mackenzie, who's going over the line now to start his first flying lap. He's lost so much time being stuck in the pits. Mike behind has got a lap time on the board, but he needs to go a lot quicker than that. I've got Arnian, who's coming through on his out lap. He won't want to get in the way of other drivers this time, though. I think it should be okay, because the car behind him is slowing down to give himself some space. That's the 393 of MPL. So, 111 of Ryan crossing over the line to start a flying lap now. This is Darskill. He's going towards the last turn. What is his lap time going to be, I wonder? Is he going to be faster than what he did last time? The answer to that question is yes, and it's into the 2:02s, I should say. 2:02.7, so that was run about half a second faster than what he posted last time around. It's a very good effort, and he keeps hold of pole position and extends the margin. There's Yaki in the BMW, who's not going very, very quick as we speak. Only 6 drivers have posted lap time so far. Darskill quickest, Vantage 1.6 seconds off the pace, but is on the front row provisionally. Yaki over the line, only 5th fastest, does move in front of Cablo with his effort. He'll want to go a lot faster than what he's just done there. For the 841 of LK next. And then after him it's Pedro. That's a very poor exit coming out of Murray's for LK. His lap time was a 2 minutes 12.6. Not good enough, unfortunately. Mackenzie does get a lap time on the board now, though. 5th fastest for him. Over 3 seconds off the top man in the championship, Darskell. Arnian approaching the last turn. How will he approach it? Will he take it carefully? Does he keep the car on circuit? He does. And it's a 2 minute 10.2, and that only leaves him 8th quickest. Ryan is next. Up to 6th place he goes. That time was a 2 minutes 6.3. Moves him onto the 3rd row of the grid. Frank has yet to post a lap time so far. Pedro the same. Maners is another one. MPL's in the pits at the moment. He's not set a lap. Neither has Faco, who's just coming over the line now. No lap time there. Maners does he get a lap time on the board? No, he just starts a fast lap. Got the 17 next crossing over the line. That's Palermo. Does not get the gap down, unfortunately, so he stays where he is. We've got the 29 advantage crossing over the line. He doesn't improve either. And it's Yaki in the BMW. The 84 behind him has spun at the chase. That is Cablo, who's back in the pits now. Yaki does... I don't think he improved his lap time. I think he actually did, but he stays in the same position as before. It was a 2 minutes 6.9, that effort. Darskell is crossing over the line, though. He does not improve. His lap time stays with the lap time he's got, and on pole position as we speak. Mackenzie, 3.3 seconds off the pace so far. He'll want to cut that down. He does cut it down by over a second. It's now 1.9 seconds between him and provisional pole sitter Darskell. And Frank has gone to the front row. Less than 3/10 away from Darskell, so this is more like it from what we've been waiting for from those other than Darskell to get anywhere near challenging him for pole position, and it looks as though Frank is the nearest challenger to him with 5 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. Now Arnian is over 7 seconds off the pace. He's coming through Murray's. What is he going to produce here? And it's not an improvement on that time. We've got the 111 going over the line of Ryan, and it's not an improvement from him either. The next lap time we're going to see is coming from Faco, and then Maners right behind him in your picture. They haven't got much time, these two, to get their lap times in. Faco goes over, 9th quickest for him, and Maners displaces him by another 3/10. So Maners and Faco on the 5th row next to each other, which leaves Pedro and MPL the only drivers yet to post a lap time. So far so good for Darskell, but he's not ahead by much. Frank will be determined to find some pace on the laps that he'll be doing to make sure he is closer and closer and closer to the point which he can get ahead of him. Now Pedro is crossing over the line now. Still no lap time from him so far. This is MPL, who is the other driver yet to get a lap time on the board. And it's lap time for him is not going to move him up. So we go to the 33 of Mike, who's over 9 seconds off the pace. The man who was disqualified last week for refusing to serve his drive-through penalty when instructed to do so. And he goes no higher, and there was no improvement on his lap time either. So we've got Arnian next behind. I think that's Ryan right behind him, is it not? It is Ryan. Arnian crosses over the line. Doesn't improve. Ryan, I think he did improve his lap time by a little bit. He's in 7th place. He's coming back into the pit lane now. For the 441 of Facco. Should see him in the reckoning for a top 5 finish. He goes up to 8th. That was a 2 minutes 6.3 that time lap. Vantage, I think it was Palomo who improved to 4th position there, but Vantage is in 3rd place as we speak with a 2 minute 4.3 that timed lap. You can see with the lap times in front of your screen there with 90 seconds remaining. Darskell ahead by a quarter of a second now. Frank seems to be getting closer all the time. And he's back in the pits, and I don't think we're going to be seeing him back out on track for the rest of the session now. He'll be running out of time before the checker flag falls. So Darskell's in the pits as well, so he won't be improving. 841 of LK. 11th quickest at the moment. On the 6th row of the grid, Cablo is not having the best of sessions so far, in 12th position, which is lower than where we expected him to be. Pedro over the line, only driver yet to post lap time now as MPL goes up to 11th place. Pedro still hasn't got a lap time on the board, so this will be his final attempt to get a time on the board. The 33 of Yaki, I believe, is next. Or is it Mike? It's Mike, actually. My apologies. He does not improve. Goes for one last attempt. Needs to find some time somewhere. McKenzie, 5th fastest at the moment. No improvement there either. It's the 83 of Arnian going to improve. He doesn't this time around. Manur starts one final attempt. We've got the 441 of Facco next. He should get over the line before the checker flag falls. And he moves up to 8th place, so he's managed to find some time, and he's got one last attempt to go for it. And the driver who was the first to cross over the line, I couldn't quite tell who that was there. I think it might have been Ryan, who's gone into the pits. So we'll go to the 84 of Cablo, who's in desperate need of an improvement on 13th place. He didn't go into the chase very quickly, to be honest with you. Nearly 6 seconds off the pace. So the man who looks to be starting from his 4th pole position in a row. Cablo goes up to 10th place. That's an improvement by 3 positions, and he improved the lap time by a second as well. So Cablo, at the moment, 10th on the grid on the 5th row. MPL, can he improve on his lap time? He hasn't posted that many times in this session. I think the 2 minutes 7.7 is his only lap time. His only valid lap time he's put together. And he moves up to 10th place, so he pushes Cablo back down a position. So MPL, 10th on the grid at the moment. We've got the 841 coming up next. That's LK, who's just gone into the pit, so he won't improve on 13th. And we've got the 33 of Mike, who's coming around the last turn now. And this lap time for him is a slight improvement, only a slight improvement, but he'll start from 16th and last position on the grid. Now Facco is the last driver. Considering that he was able to get that lap started a second or two before the checker flag had fallen, can he improve? Over the line he comes now. Is he going to move in front of Ryan? The answer is yes. Brilliant lap time from Facco. He improved it by 0.4 of a second, and he moves in front of the McLaren driver. So at the end of that session, it's Darskell who is on pole position by 1/4 of a second. That's how close it was between him and Frank, but a pole position is a pole position, so that's another championship point to his credit. Palermo will start his first race of the season from third ahead of Vantage, who's the highest of the reserve drivers tonight, in fourth. McKenzie will be fifth on the grid in the Lexus, followed by Cord in the Audi in sixth. Facco and Ryan make up the fourth row in seventh and eighth. Then it's Yaki and MPL in ninth and 10th. Cablo in a disappointing 11th. He'll be hoping for more in the race to come. He's alongside Maners, who will start 12th. LK and Arnian make up the 7th row in 13th and 14th on the grid. On the back row, we have got Pedro and Mike. And that's our 16 driver grid for the 60-minute race here in Bathurst. If you are tuning in, we do welcome you. Do feel free to get involved in the live chat if you ever so wish so. In regards to the calendar for this season, we've already been to Imola, Misano, Brands Hatch, and I can tell you the remaining races for the season for those who on the PS5, which is what this tier is. It's a tier 3 PS5 championship. So we've been to Misano, so we've been to Imola, we've been to Misano and Brands Hatch. Tonight is Mount Panorama. Next week we go to Zolder, and then Monza will play host to the second of the 3 special events, the 90-minute race with 2 mandatory pit stops included. Then we head over to a quadruple leg of the USA, beginning at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin on the 29th of November, followed by Indianapolis on the 6th of December, and it's Watkins Glen playing host to the penultimate round on the 13th of that month. And then the season finale will be at Laguna Seca on December the 20th, which will be in time before the Christmas break for the drivers. We are just waiting for the formation lap to begin. It will be another 3 minutes before that happens. And I'll run through the situation in the Teams Championship. At the moment, it's SBR T3, which are run by Ryan and Cablo, the 2 drivers who are in the... One's in McLaren and the other is in the Bentley, but they're teamed up together. They are ahead by 18 points over their nearest rivals, Finnith Oldies, which are run by Cord and Yako. And then it's DART, which is run only by McKenzie now because High Grade has already left the server, unfortunately. So it's all down to McKenzie to bring home the goods, really, for the DART squad. And in 4th position is Dars Jester Racing Team, which is Darscolt and Jester in that with 136 points between them, 28 off the lead. So with Jester not around tonight, it's pretty much down to Darscolt really to pick up another victory, really keep the team in the hunt. So it's a 60-minute race and 1 mandatory pit stop included. The drivers can take that any time they like, just as long as they do it before the checker flag falls. Given the pace we've seen from Darscoll, we should expect him to get a good start and pull away from the rest of the field, as we have seen from him in each of the races so far in Taco Tuesday Tier 3. I think it's become abundantly clear that, considering that Darscoll is a rookie really in the Taco Tuesday, it was pretty unclear as to where he was going to stand in comparison to the other drivers. As a lot of these are rookies, it was uncertain as to how quick each and every one of them was going to be. Tier 3 was probably the most sensible option to put them in, but it's become abundantly clear as to where each of them stand really in comparison to the rest, some of which deserve to be, I think, in Tier 2 next season. most particularly Darskell. Others will be happy to remain in this tier, unless there's some changes to the tier format of Taco Tuesday going forward. But just 20 seconds to go before the formation lap begins. We'll run down on the grid again whilst the drivers are on their formation lap, warming up the tyres, raring to go. In terms of laps, we should be expecting, I would say, 29 laps in total, no more than that. The drivers will be heavy on fuel as well. So it is approaching what looks like sunset over there. Track temperature has come down to 21 degrees, air temperature the same. We're not expecting any rain during the course of tonight's action. Should be pretty dry all the way through. We'll just notice that Yaki has not got away from his 9th position on the grid. And so he will be starting the race from the pit lane, it seems. At least he can keep himself out of trouble at the start. I don't know if he's got any last minute setup changes that he's wanting to sort out. He's got a few minutes before the race does begin, so he hasn't got a lot of time to get that car dialed in to how he wants it to do. So Darskell goes into this with a 15-point lead over Mackenzie and Cord, who are tied for 2nd and 3rd. So a run down on the grid then. Darskell will start on pole position with Frank alongside. It's Palermo and Vantage on the 2nd row. Mackenzie and Cord are on row 3, followed by Facco and Ryan making up row 4. Yaki would be 9th on the grid, but he's not there anymore now, so it's MPL who will have the road to himself unless Cablo can pull alongside him and fill in that 10th spot. He's got Miners behind him, followed by LK and Arnian, Pedro and Mike round off the grid, with Yaki starting from the pit lane. Let me know who your money is on for victory. Will Darskell make it 4 wins out of 4 from pole position? Or are we going to get a different winner this time around? .2 kilometres this panorama circuit in Bathurst, Australia, in New South Wales. First opened in 1938. Played host to V8 supercars, the Bathurst 1000, Mount Panorama 500 as well. That was played out last year, which is the first time that's happened since 1996. Of course, there's other sports cars events, including Intercontinental GT, the Bathurst Motor Special, or Motor Festival, I should say, the GT World Challenge Australia, and the 2023 World Athletics Cross Country Championships, which are taking place next year. We're very nearly ready to go now for the start of this race. How will Darskell get on? If he stays to the left, he should have the inside line into Hell's Corner. Into Hell Corner, I should say. So when the green flag falls, we go racing here. The green flag has fallen and we are racing. Darskill gets a very nice start as we watch Palermo make a run on Frank as they go into the hell corner for the first time. There's a car off. Those cars barging into each other. Oh, there's carnage. Absolute mayhem at the start out of hell corner. My goodness me, this is absolutely horrendous start. So many cars with damage. I couldn't quite tell who went off there in the background. I think it was the 72 of... It wasn't the 72 of Yaki, it was someone else that went off. We've got the 41 in there. That will have been Cord who had gone off. So Cord, the man who's tied with Mackenzie for second place in the championship, has come together at the first turn. So far, it's Darsker who's still leading with Frank in second place. Palermo has kept his car out of trouble in third place, it seems. Then it's Vantage in the Honda in fourth, ahead of MPL and Faco. MPL getting off to a very, very good start. He was 10th on the grid, I believe, or 9th on the grid. He's got it up into 7th place, it seems. Confirmation of the pit window opening, so drivers can come in and complete their mandatory pit stops now. That could be a little bit of a saving grace for those who are coming at the end of the lap to sort damage out. But yeah, there's a lot of drivers with damage to their cars. I think Manersa was one of them. He had a spin on the exit of Hell Corner. McKenty has got damage to the bonnet of that car. He'll be in the pits at the end of this lap. Cord will be as well. And I think all these cars piling into each other there. That's on the exit of McFinery Park. Yaki has caught the back of this. Cord and Mike have come together as well. So they will be in the pits surely at the end of this lap. Arnian looks like he's got a little bit of damage on the front. Absolute mayhem at the start. But Darskill has had no such worries so far. Frank staying with him. He needs to really to keep his slim chances of the championship alive, even at this stage of the season. So Darskill leads, only 6/10 in front over Frank in P2. And we're just looking to see who will actually pit in at the end of lap 1, because as you may have seen, there was a lot of contact, not just at the first turn, but over down towards the banking. Close to where the dipper was, or skyline should say. A lot of them seems to be all continuing, although Cablo's got damage to the rear of that Bentley, so that'll be him into the pit lane. Manurse as well, Mackenzie, and I think Vantage has made a mistake somewhere. He's in the pits. So Vantage, who was in 4th place, has all of a sudden pitted in. Now, I'm not sure what's happened there. Yeah, he was in 4th place at one point, but now he just... I don't know whether he lost connection or something, but... yeah, he's left himself with all that hard work undone. With Darskill in the lead, Frank closing in a little bit, with Palermo not far behind either. And MPL has moved up into 4th place then, thanks to Vantage's melodies, as he's stuck in the pits. Faco was in 5th position. We've just seen, is that Ryan who's just made a mistake there on the exit of McFinery? It might well have been, but Faco is ahead. There's a yellow flag out there somewhere. I think that's the 29 of Vantage who's in the pits. I just hope we do see him back out on circuit very soon. I don't know whether Cablo, Manurse and McKenty will all continue after that. They did pick up a lot of damage on that first lap. And there's your top 3 in your picture, separated by 1.2 seconds in the last sector. That has come, well, I say 1.2 seconds, it was more than that, but it's 1.8 seconds, but quite frankly, you don't really need to know the gap to know how far they are off each other. You can see in your picture. And LK's got damage to the front of that BMW. Yeah, he's not going very quick at all. That'll be him off into the pit lane. And Yaki, despite starting from the pit lane, is up into 11th place, so at least he's taking advantage of all the chaos. It's probably a blessing that he wasn't starting on the grid. He did have a knock on the exit or on at Skyline with two of the other drivers. I think Mike was one of them and Cord was the other. I think Cord has stayed out there, although his car won't have helped, keeping them away from any damage. And Ryan's got past Facco now into 5th position in the McLaren. So Ryan beginning to make inroads as MPL doing a really, really good job there in the BMW in 4th place. But it won't be too long, I think, before Ryan catches up to the back of him, given the pace we have seen from Ryan throughout this season so far. I've just seen Miners and McKenzie exit the pit lane now. Cablo is in there still, so we should see him back out on track sometime soon. At least he can complete his mandatory stop now, but he's going to be too far off the leaders to have any hope of a top 5 finish out of this. And Vantage still hasn't... I think Vantage has come out of the pits now, albeit it's a lap down, so... And that won't have counted as mandatory pit stop, so I think he had connection problems, did Vantage. And there's Darskell, only 7/10 clear of Frank. He's taking it very, very easy at this stage, not pushing the tyres too much. There's a long way to go yet. And MPL, who's dropping back all the time at the moment, he just... I don't know if he has the car underneath him right now, but he's over 17 seconds behind Palermo in 3rd place. Mine catching up to him, as is Facco. And looks like Cord has got by Pedro into 8th place. Pedro, who had a very commanding performance, let's say, in Brands Hatch last week, is doing a fine job again in the Ferrari in 9th position. But he has got what looks like Miners behind him, who's a lap behind. So Miners has got with it all to do, really, but at least when it comes round to the leaders doing the pit stops, he can get back on the lead lap. And Darskell, always slick coming out of Skyline. You can see the pressure getting to him a little bit, and that's helped Frank a lot. Palermo's dropped back from these two. Yeah, that'll have knocked Darskell's momentum a little bit. The gap will come down most certainly. It was just under 8/10 through sector 1. I imagine it'd be something like 4/10 through sector 2 now. Just over that. MPL. Oh, he's hit the barrier, has MPL coming into Forest Elbow, and that allows Ryan through. So MPL pushing a little bit too hard at this stage, has scraped the barrier, but it looks as though he might just have got away with it. Cablo's come back out on circuit now, albeit a long, long way behind. And I think he's spun again on the exit of the chase. Car almost beats there. He's hit the barrier as well, and I think that'll be him off into the pit lane but at the end of the lap. He's carrying on his way. He's actually is Cablo, but he's had a really tough time of it tonight so far. Couldn't get it right in qualifying earlier. He was so far off the pace, and he hasn't got it right so far in the race yet. And a stop and go penalty has been dished out to Vantage after he's just done his mandatory pit stop for speeding in the pit lane. So his race has gone from bad to worse. He's going to leave himself with far too much to do. Already a few laps behind the rest of the field. I think he's already... Oh, he's pulling over. Is he pulling over? Is he calling it a day? Yeah, he is. He's out. So Vantage retires from the race. He's had enough, clearly. And I think LK's back in the pits as well. And so he could well be calling it quits also. Now, there are rules when it comes to rage quitting. Any form of rage quitting will result in a penalty being dished out to you. 10 minutes gone so far in this race. Darskell continuing to be in control. He has responded from that blunder on the last lap. And FRLACC in the fight there with MPL for 5th, and you can see in the background Cord lining up a move on Arnian for 7th place. Will FRLACC go for it into the chase? MPL. Oh, and he just moved across on FRLACC a little too late there. FRLACC goes for the move, but he's gone straight on. So FRLACC goes straight on there. Now he needs to be careful not to rejoin into the path of MPL. That looked a little bit too late there in terms of the way MPL moved across on him. The stewards may take a look at that after the race is finished, but yeah, that was a little bit naughty from MPL as they were going through the Comrade straight towards the chase. And FRLACC will not be too pleased with MPL's driving standards there. Not one bit. And now he's under threat from Cord, who's just got by Arnian whilst all that was going on. So Cord looking to make a move on FRLACC, which will only add salt into FRLACC's wounds. And here we go, look, Cord up the inside as they go into the right-hander, which is Quarry. And Cord is through into P7. Or P6 rather, I should say. And Mackenzie's back in the pits also. And I think this is going to be retirement for him, unfortunately. Unless he's just done a second pit stop of the race. So he's going to be coming back out behind Cablo. I just think he wants the track to himself, to be honest with you. And then he's not having to move out of the way of the leaders coming through. Just 2 retirements so far. LK and Vantage out of the race. Mackenzie already a lap down or 2 on the leaders. He wasn't confident going into this race tonight. Not a big fan of the Bathurst circuit in Mount Panorama. He'll be hoping for better luck next week, when the series I'm just trying to find where the series will be going to next. It's Solder next week that the Taco Tuesday series will be heading to in Belgium. .7 seconds is the margin between Darskell in the lead and Frank in second. And we've got a spinner at the back. That's Arnian, who's gone for a spin on the exit of Murray's. He continues. I think the 84 is coming up behind him. Is that Cablo who's had a spin also? It looks like he has, and it looks like he's going around the wrong way on the circuit. Yeah, Cablo's in the pits, and I think that's his race over as well. So Cablo becomes the 3rd driver to drop out of this race as Arnian and Pedro are in the pits. Yeah, Cablo I think is going to be calling it a day after all that. Just hasn't been his race tonight by any means. So Darskell's continuing to pull away from Frank. 2.3 seconds is the margin between those two as the camera looks to pick up them. And it looks like Palermo's dropped back horribly. Has he had a clout with the wall somewhere? I think he has. You can see the gap from Frank is over 14 seconds, and you can see why. The damage to the bonnet is clear. I would say he's going to be coming into the pits to get that sorted out. Yep, he's going to be coming in. He's in 3rd place at the moment, and he's got quite a margin over Ryan, so Palermo will want to still try and get that podium finish. Sounds like a parking lot in the pit lane at the present moment. As we watch Pedro come out of the pits. As Pedro lets go a lap down on Ryan, who's moved up into third place now on track. And he goes through, no problem. Facco in the pits in the Ferrari at this stage of the race. It looks like Arnian is still there, actually. He's spent a long time stuck there thinking of it. When is he actually going to move, I wonder? Well, Palermo's still getting his damage sorted out. And Yaki and Mike in 8th and 9th at the moment, but they should move up as a position by the time they go through the first set, so they should be in 6th and 7th. And Palermo has exited the pit lane now, and he should be in 7th position, or 8th I should say. 2.7 seconds is the margin between Darsko and Frank, so the gap is gradually getting bigger. Number 83 of Arnian has left the pits, but it says these mandatory pit stop hasn't been taken for some reason. Very, very interesting. And it looks like Frank was just getting round one of the Ferraris there. I think it might have been Facco who was coming out of the pits. So Facco a lap down on the leaders, but the leaders have still yet to stop. So, like I say, for those at the back of the field, in order to get the points, we need to complete at least 75% of the race leader's distance. So, if let's say we go to 29 laps, possibly 28, let's say 28 because it's easier to work out, they would need to complete at least 21 laps in order to get the points. At the moment, Cabello and McKenzie are, I think they're only 2 or 3 laps down on the leaders, so they should be fine collecting the points where they are in terms of race position. .9 seconds is the gap, or was the gap, in the first sector. In the second sector, it's now 3.3. So Darsko bridging the gap out even more. Cord will feel like a lucky man following the shenanigans on that one. He'll take it, no problem, considering that the driver who went into this race tied on points with him is well down the order. This is Cord's chance to move clear of him in the battle for second place overall. But he's catching Ryan, who is less than 10 seconds up the road from him, so Cord will want to just continue closing down the gap. We'll keep an eye on the gap actually to see how Cord is getting on, but I don't suppose the damage he may have picked up on that first lap will have helped him in terms of his car performance. It was 9.9 or something like that in the last sector. It is now 9.5, so he's continuing to close down the gap. This is promising pace from Cord. 9 laps completed. And we've got a spin. Someone's... Oh, that's the race leader! The race leader is off the track by the looks of it. And the 83 have come together as well. I think Arnian... I'm not sure what's happened, but Darsil has lost the race lead to Frank. Did he get in... Did Arnian get in the way of the race leader and cause a collision? We didn't quite see it, but it was very, very unexpected. So Darskill's lost the race lead to Frank. I think that's what's happened. I think Arnian got in the way of the race leader, McPhilmonry. So he's in the pits, and I think Arnian's race is over as well. Now there is your race leader, Frank. 5 seconds clear in sector 2. Here's Darskill reacting to that. He's coming into the pits. So Darskill decides that he may have picked up damage from the contact with Arnian. And so he's going to make his mandatory pit stop now, with 21 minutes of the race completed. So Darskill hoping to get out in no time here. So Ryan will move up to second position. Cord should go up into third place. MPL should go up into fifth. And Darskill's left his box now, but MPL should still go in front of him. So, and it looks like someone's gone off circuit. I think that'll be... Is that Cablo who's just staying out of the way? It is. So Cablo, who's had a really wretched race so far. I think this will be him into the pit lane, I wonder. He's not going very quick. Yeah, he's coming in. He's coming in. So Frank, he's your race leader. But he has a pit stop to make. He's got some clear track ahead of him, it has to be said, so he won't actually need to pit now to cover off Darskill necessarily. He will be mindful of the fact that Darskill did come into the pits at the end of the previous lap. Stays out there for now. And I wonder if Cablo is actually going to come back out on circuit. Just looking at Mackenzie at the moment, who at the moment says that he's 3 laps down. I think that's technically 2 because Frank hasn't gone past him yet on this lap, and Mackenzie's yet to cross over the line, so he's 2 laps behind the leader as we speak. No, Frank just needs to make sure, keep the car on circuit. Don't do any silly errors. And you can see Darskill coming up behind MPL. He knows he's the quicker driver than him, so it's important that he gets this move done as soon as he can. We get into the slipstream on this back straight, known as the mountain straight. Pulls alongside, so this should be a change in position on track, and Darskill is due into 4th place, so no problem there for the championship leader. He's through. Next man up ahead of him is Cord. Here's another 17 seconds ahead of him. And Yaki is in the pits for his mandatory pit stop. Well, he's picked up quite a bit of damage actually, thinking of it. He's getting his mandatory pit stop done now. He'll go down a lap on the leader, but I'm sure he'll take it. So Frank leads on lap 13. Ryan's in second place, temporarily. Looking good for a podium. But Cord is closing on him all the time. The gap down to 7.6 seconds between the McLaren and the Audi. And Cablo's come back out on the circuit again. He was in the pits for a long time, thinking of it. And Frank is completing his 13th lap, or will be around to complete his 13th lap. Cablo is on his 8th lap of the race. He's 5 laps behind the race leader, so he just needs to be careful not to fall too many laps behind. Now, if he falls any more than 7 laps behind the leader, he may well not be classified for points. We've got Palermo behind one of the back markers there as the 21 goes off track. That's Maners, who's already been in the pits at the end of lap 1 for repairs. Stays out of the way of Palermo. He knows that's not his race. So Frank coming up behind Mike, who's kept his car out of trouble so far, but Frank is coming in. He's not going to get held up by that back marker. He wants to get his pit stop done now. So Frank into the pit lane from the race lead. And the 441 has gone off track. That's Facco. He's got damage to the Ferrari. And that's going to cause problems for the other drivers behind. That's down at the S's. Oh, you can see, is that Yaki's clipped the wall? I think it may well have been. But yeah, Facco's in a really dangerous spot there. Gets the car in reverse. Hits the barrier. Yeah, it's almost into Austin Powers territory at the moment, but he should be able to get going again. He's got going again now, though. But he's got a lot of damage. He's already made his mandatory pit stop as well, remember. And Ryan is in from second place. So we should see Cord go into the lead of this race. Now, where's Darskell? There he is. He's coming into the last turn. Frank should be exiting his box now. Darskell coming down the pit straight. Frank has just exited his box, but I think Darskell's got ahead of him. He has. So Darskell is back into the lead effectively, but Frank is not too far behind him. So Darskell was able to make up the time. Frank's pit stop wasn't particularly quick. So there's your current race leader, Cord, but he's still yet to pit in. MPL is also in from 5th position, which should move Palermo back up a position. Now that's interesting. Palermo is coming through the last turn. He should get in front of Ryan, who's still in his box. So Palermo should effectively still be in 3rd place, a net 3rd place. And someone's gone off. It's the 441 of Facco again. That's at the chase. And he'll be in the pits at the end of this lap for sure. This might move McKenzie up a position, and Facco continues to leave sparks on the racetrack. And that's Mike coming in behind him. He does not want to be holding him up. As MPL completes his pit stop, he should rejoin in 6th place. Now, what will Cord decide to do? Now, he's the only driver yet to make a mandatory pit stop in this race now, with half of the race still to go. "14 laps completed. Darskell. His lead over Frank is just under 5 seconds. And this is by no means a dominant performance from Darskell. It was dominant for him in Brands Hatch last week, despite a troublesome beginning to it. He's managed to make up the time following his calamities with Arnian earlier on. He's put himself effectively back into the race lead here. Now, if it was to stay like this in regards to the battle for second place, I mean, we'll come back to that once Cord does his pit stop, and then what we see will be more relevant in regards to the championship picture. There's 2 points difference between winning a race and finishing second in this. 40 points for the race winner, 38 for second. As you can see how hard Darskell is pushing at the moment. I think he knows that Frank is pushing a little more, so Darskell can't afford to back off too much at this point. I think Thaco has rejoined the race actually in 11th position. Oh no, to make that 12th now because Mackenzie's ahead of him. Now, will Cord decide to pit in at the end of this lap? Yes, he will. So Cord, from the race lead, pits in. We don't often see onboards from drivers in the pit lane. Now, this is the opportunity to find out what exactly goes on. So Cord will stop in his box any moment. You can see all the cable wires. So Darskell will go back ahead of him, as will Frank, into second place. The man, or two drivers of which Cord will be battling, are Palermo and Ryan. Now Palermo is, it's showing he's 16 seconds behind Cord, so Cord will want to try and get out some point now. He hasn't been in this box for too long. No, Palermo will go in front of him now, so the next man behind him will be, should be Ryan. Yeah, he's 10 seconds behind him, but Cord is leaving his box now. And he should stay in front of him here. And he is in front of him. So Cord rejoins in 4th place, ahead of Ryan, with less than 27 minutes to go. And he's just putting a lap on Maners, who's currently running in 10th position. The next man ahead of him is Ryan, who's not so far ahead of him actually, thinking of it. So I would say that Maners, given the pace he is showing, is going to move in front of Mike by the end of this race. The gap between the top two, Darskell, and someone's off at Quarry. Is that Cablo, who has had a coming together with the wall? He has. He gets going again though. He continues to have clouts with the wall. Yeah, the car's absolutely askew. It just doesn't want to turn into a corner. I don't know whether Cablo just wants to park the car up and just get out of everyone's way, stay out of everyone's way, because the next cars coming up behind him are the race leaders. Yeah, this has been a day to forget for Cablo. It really has been. You can see the car struggling to turn in. All sorts of steering problems. Now this is going to get dangerous here. I think Ryan's had a spin also at the chase and he's lost ground to Cord. So Ryan Keeps hold of his 5th place, nevertheless. But that spin won't have helped his motivation one bit. And Cord is in the pits. Now, this is interesting. What's happened here? Cord into the pits for his 2nd pit stop of the race. Has he hit the wall, I wonder? Wasn't expecting a pit stop from him. He was only in the pits a lap ago. And now he's back in again. He should rejoin in 6th place ahead of Yaki. Yaki's a long way back. But, yeah, that's not good news, that, for Cord. So MPL will move up into 5th. Cablo just needs to stay. I just seen Darskell lose a bundle of time behind Cablo, and that's going to give Frank the opportunity to go through, and he's done it! Frank is through into the lead here at Mount Panorama. Now, for the 2nd time in this race, Darskell's been held up by the back markers, and Frank is being able to take advantage of it. So Frank into the lead again. Darskell will not be impressed. And it looks like Cablo has stopped on track and he's out. Yeah, I think that's his race over, and I think he'll be in trouble with the stewards for the way he's held up Darskell, to be honest with you. It's not over yet, though. Darskell can still win this. So Frank into the lead, but he's only... It was 7/10 as they crossed the start-finish line. And it's now 1.1. So Darskell's got with it all to do, really, to keep hold of his 100% winning start to the season. And Cablo, I think, has come back out on circuit again, has he? No, he hasn't. He's stuck in the pits. Manurse coming in for his 2nd pit stop of the race. And I think Darskell's dropping back horribly here. He's not going very quick through the S's. Well, the lights are on now. The headlights are on the drivers. And there's a drive-through penalty being dished out to Manurse for speeding in the pit lane. So he'll have to serve that within 3 laps. So Frank over 2 seconds clear now of Darskell in the fight for the race victory. It's now 2.5. Darskell's losing time horribly. So unless Frank makes a mistake somewhere... So Yaki will be happy with his 7th place, despite starting the race from the pit lane. What's the gap now between the top 2? I reckon it's more than 2.5 seconds, to be honest with you. It's 3.2. So Darskell will not be very happy with this. You can see Frank pushing all the time. You can see Palermo running in 3rd place now. Ryan is a long way behind him, so Palermo will just be happy to stay where he is. So 3.2 seconds was the gap at the end of the last sector. And it looks like one of those that's retired has left the lobby. I think that might have been Arnian who's left. So Manurse back in the pits to serve his drive-through. And the gap, you can see Darskill's 6 seconds off Frank now. The thing is, if Darskill was to pit now, Paloma would go in front of him. Yeah, he's coming in. I think he's coming in to get that damage fixed. He's got to be careful not to come through too quickly though. So Frank in the lead. And will do so by a comfortable margin. So can Palermo go up into second place here? My guess will be no, but I could well be wrong. It looks like the 33 has he gone for a spin as well, Mike? Has he had a clout with the wall? Not going particularly quick. So Palermo's coming round and he will move up into second place here. Now Frank just needs to be careful here, just does not need to be taking any unnecessary risks. And Pedro's in the pits now for his second stop of the race. So it looks like Darskell is still in the pits at the moment. Ryan's going to move up into third place now in all of this. Darskell has spent a lot of time in the pits. He should get out in front of MPL, but I fear that he might not do. He's off the jacks now and he's away. So he should get out in front of MPL in fourth position. MPL, does he get in front of Darskell here? The answer to that question is... I don't think he does. He is side by side with him though. But I think Darskell has just got his nose in front. Unless MPL wants to have a go into Quarry. It would be a very risky place to do it there. But he stays behind him, and sensibly so. He's on course for his best result of the season so far, MPL. His previous best result this season has been a 10th place finish in both Misano and Brands Hatch. He didn't do the first race at Imola. This is a fine effort from him. So Frank continues to lead. Palermo is in second place now, a long way adrift. Ryan is in third. Darskell is now in fourth position. I think that's Maners back in the pits again. And I wonder if this is a retirement for him. Well, he's just got off the jacks and he'll be out on his way again. Mackenzie too far back from him, so Nurse will keep hold of his 10th place. So Frank on course for his first win of the season. It was a nightmare for him in Brands Hatch last week. He's done everything right so far this evening. And right behind him is the 41 of Cord, who's just lapped. Unless Cord wants to try and unlap himself. And Darskell's almost a lap behind the race leader now of Frank. I just wonder maybe staying out on track and retaining second place may have been the best option for Darskell. There's no question he'll be quick again, but he's just too far behind behind Ryan in third position. I mean, the gap between those two at the moment, it's not showing up on screen, but it's quite a considerable gap. So I think Darskell's going to run out of time to catch Ryan. The gap is 31.3 seconds. That's way too much of a gap to claw back. he'll be hoping for a mistake. So just 12 cars running in this race. We've lost Cablo, LK, Arnian and Vantage. Saw multiple drivers coming into the pits at the end of lap 1 for repairs, including McKenzie, Manurse. Facco had to come in for repairs as well later on. So Frank is 7 laps away from victory. This is going to be a wonderful victory. And Facco at the moment is showing that he's 2 laps down on the leader. But he'll still be able to score points from where he is in 12th. Now, in regards to McKenzie, he could catch Manurse and also catch Mike. So 9th position could still well be on for him, despite what's been a rather disastrous evening for him. Now, as it stands in regards to the championship race, if it was to stay as it is, Darskell would collect 33 points because he got the point for the pole position. He would move on to 156. McKenzie, who's on course to finish in 11th at the moment, that would give him 20 points. So that would move on to 128. Cord, who's on course for a 6th place finish, that would give him 30 points, moving him on to 138. Ryan, who went into this round 5th on 88 points, his 3rd place finish would give him 36, so he would move on to 124 points. And finally, Frank, who didn't finish last week's event in Brands Hatch, who'd get 40 points for the race victory, he would move on to 96. So Darskell, despite missing out on victory here tonight, he would still extend his lead at the top of the cycle buckle. Cord would be in 2nd place, albeit 18 points adrift. And McKenzie will be in 3rd position with 128 points and 28 points off the lead. Still 6 rounds to go. And I think McKenzie's just come into the pits actually for another pit stop. He's just been overtaken by Facco. I wonder if he's had a clout with the wall. You can just tell by the way the car is scraping along the ground. So that'll be another championship point out of the window for him. Will he be able to continue on? He should be able to. So that'll be leaving him on 127 points as it stands. He's down another lap on the leader. So the gap that Frank has over Palermo is huge. Palermo's on the Conrod straight. Frank is just exiting the mountain straight and going through Quarry Bend. Can Darskell catch Ryan in the battle for 3rd place? The gap is down to 23.4 seconds. I'd say he's going to run out of time before he catches up to him, to be honest with you. It's been damaging enough for him tonight. And Frank has just lapped MPL, who's running in 5th position. He's only 12.5 seconds in front of Cord, so nurse is back in the pits again. Is this with damage, I wonder? And Kent has just exited his box now. And this will move Facco up a position. So Mike's 9th position looks pretty much secure as we speak. Frank doing everything right at the moment. And so there goes the race leader. The nurse has just exited the pit lane in 11th position now. .24 laps completed by the leader. In terms of how many laps we're going to get, I think judging by the lap times we have seen in the race, I'm not 100% sure how many laps we're going to get. I think at most it's going to be 29, but it could well be 28. I'll be leaning more towards 29 now, which I think could come to Darskell's rescue, because that'll be another lap for him to get a move on Ryan. The gap at the moment is 19.9 seconds. The battle for 5th position between MPL and Cord is just under 11 seconds. Frank going through the S's and the dipper. So Frank leads him, a very commanding lead over Palermo. This will be the 25th lap done. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a 29 lap race now. The gap between Rhine and Darskell, where are we with that? The gap is now 16.8 seconds. I still think it's going to be too late. If Darskell was to catch Rhine, just catching him, he'll need to make up 4 seconds on him per lap on average. He would need time to pass him, so I would say he needs to be catching him by at least 5 seconds a lap. Now, Darskell will feel aggrieved by Cablo's shenanigans, because Cablo was trailing around with an ailing car, a very heavily damaged car, as Pedro comes into the pits. And is this going to allow Mike to go up a position? I think it will be a change of position, if my memory serves me correctly. There's Pedro stopping in his marks. We'll find out soon enough anyway. Now Darskell didn't quite see the gap between him and Rhine. Didn't quite show up in the second sector. We can most certainly have a look. It was something like 16 seconds, wasn't it? It's now 14.5 seconds. This is not enough, really, for Darskell. So he's got to go like clockwork now. And another issue for him is that there's 2 back markers ahead of him before he gets up to the rear of Rhine. hasn't been Darskell's circuit really at Mount Panorama. He had issues during the endurance race on Friday at Skyline. There may have been another issue involving him during that race as well, but it just hasn't been his lucky circuit really, has it? .1 seconds is the gap between him and Ryan. He has closed it down, but he's not closing it down enough. He needs to do more. You can see the lines he's taking at the moment. Mike moves up to 8th, Facco now up to 9th place, Manursis in 10th, and Pedro, who's been in the pits for a long time. That's a big shame, because he was running in 8th place before he came into the pits, and he's going to drop behind Mackenzie as well. So yeah, he's done his stop now, he's off the jacks and he's away. But he'd have lost far too much there. I don't know if he had problems or whatever, but either way it hasn't helped him. He rejoined what looks to be now in 11th position ahead of Mackenzie. He's the only driver behind him that is still running in terms of race position. The gap between Ryan and Darskell then. How much has Darskell taken out of him on this lap? Only 2 seconds. Now, Darskell just needs to take it very carefully here, because he does not want to get involved in another backmarker's shenanigans here. Now the 777 of Mackenzie is ahead of him. That's the man who went into this race tied second with Cord. He does not want to get in the way of the leader here. Well, I say the leader, it's the man who was the leader of this race. The one who is now in 4th place. 11.9 seconds is the gap. So Darskell's only taken 0.6 out of Ryan in that first sector alone. Frank is now on his penultimate lap of the race. Oh, that's someone off in the barrier there. Oh, and that's Mackenzie, who's had a huge whack against the barrier on the exit of Willamley Park. Thankfully, he stayed out of Darskell's way, because otherwise that could have been a horrendous accident. That just sums up Mackenzie's evening as well, doesn't it? And Cord has got up to the back of MPL now in the fight for 5th position. Now this could get very interesting. Now they are a lap down on the leader, so next time round it will be the last lap for them. Can MPL hold on to 5th position? Through the S's they go. This is a brilliant battle to watch, it has to be said. It's confirmation that the pit window is closed. Everyone's made their mandatory pit stops anyway. Now, can Cord get a good run here on MPL? MPL needs to be very careful. He does not move across too late on the straight. Cord is alongside, and that is Cord through into 5th position on the Conrad straight. So Cord moves up a position as Frank starts the final lap of this race. So Cord has no problem disposing the BMW. He's back up to 5th position and moves 2 points closer to the championship leader of Darskell. Talking which of Darskell, he's just over 10 seconds behind Ryan. He's not doing enough to close down the gap on him as we speak. He's got another back marker ahead of him though, that's Facco, who's running in 9th place. We'll see what the gap is by the time they go through sector 2. I think there's another back marker of which Ryan's got past as well, that'll be Mike. So Mike and Facco will be just tussling over 8th place before the checkered flag. So the gap between Ryan and Darskell has come down to 8.1 seconds. And Darskell, I just don't see him making up enough time here. He needed another lap or two to make up the ground on Ryan for a podium. But we'll go to the leader of Frank, who's just exited Forest's elbow. What a marvellous race it's been from him. He came close to getting pole position from Darskell. As you can see, a car there. That's McKenzie, who's just trailing round. Please don't hold up the leader, please, Kevin. He wisely stays out of the way. And Frank runs a little bit wide there, but he won't bother about that too much. He's got one more corner to get through. Frank, in the BMW, is coming round to claim a brilliant victory here in Mount Panorama. Frank wins in Bathurst. The headlights go flashing. Frank sees the checkered flag, and he has won here in Australia. A phenomenal effort. And he'll be absolutely delighted with that. Darskell's 100% winning start is over. Cord will come through, and he'll be 2nd place in the championship, 5th here in Mount Panorama. That wasn't his best drive, but he's come away with some good points. MPL will be happy with his 6th place. That's a great effort from him. We'll go to Palomo, who's a long, long way behind in 2nd place. But these are good points. This is his first start this season. And he's going to pick up the runner-up spot here in Bathurst. And the gap between Ryan and Darskell has come down to 7.4 seconds. That was in the first sector. In the second sector, I just don't see Darskell making up enough time. Palomo crosses over the line in 2nd place. Darskell is getting held up a little bit by a back marker of McKenzie. No, it's not. It's Facco and Mike, by the looks of it, who are fighting over 8th place. This is interesting. This is going to go right all the way to the checkered flag. But these two need to be very careful because they've got Darskell, who is a lap ahead of them, looming in behind. Darskell won't take too many risks here, but Facco really wants that 8th place taken away from Mike. He goes to the outside on the exit of the chase. This is the last corner now, Morris Corner. Facco to the outside. Is this him through into 8th place? The two nearly made contact, but Facco is through before the line. So Facco takes 8th place from Mike. Darskell crosses over the line in 4th place to extend his championship lead. A brilliant last lap battle between the Ferraris there of Facco and Mike. But Facco, after his calamitous error coming into the chase, has come back to source some good points in the end. A brilliant effort from him, but not as much of an effort from your race winner of Frank. He wins by a whole minute ahead of Palermo in 2nd place. Ryan 3rd in the McLaren ahead of Darskell, who fails to win for the first time this season in Taco Tuesday. Cord finishes 5th. He moves up into 2nd place in the championship by himself. MPL, his best result of the season in 6th. Yaki, after starting from the pit lane, coming home in a fine 7th place. That's a great effort from him. Facco beating Mike to the line to take that 8th place away from him. Mike was 9th. Decent effort from him. Manus, disappointing 10th for him. Pedro in 11th. Such a shame he had that pit stop towards the end. McKenzie in a really disappointing 12th place. 4 laps behind the race winner, but at least he still gets points anyhow. No points though for Cablo. No points for Arnian. No points for LK. And no points for Vantage. So 4 drivers failing to finish. 12 out of the 16 making it to the end of tonight's race here in Mount Panorama. In regards to the championship then, Frank's victory moves him up to 96 points. He moves in front of Arnian, he moves in front of Pedro, he moves in front of Cablo. He moves up into 6th place in the driver's standings, so moving up from 8th to 6th, I believe. No, yeah, it is 8th to 6th. So 2 places, I should say. In terms of the championship lead, Darskell with his 4th place finish, as well as the pole position he got earlier, he moves on to what I believe is 158 points. I got my calculations a little bit wrong earlier, but it's 158 points for Darskell. Cord with his 5th place finish, that nets him what I believe is 32 points. He moves on to 140 championship points. So the gap at the top is 18 points between Darskell in the lead and Cord, who is now into second place ahead of Mackenzie, who's had a really disappointing evening tonight. I think he keeps hold of third place as well. Having said that, Ryan did pick up 36 points to his name with his podium. Another podium for him. So he moves on to 124 points. Mackenzie with his 12th place finish. 12th place next to you, 19 points. So Mackenzie is on 127. So Mackenzie, despite his 12th place finish, remains in third on 127 points. In regards to the team standings, and that's something I want to find out as well, because tonight was interesting. Ryan's podium of 36 points. That moves the SBR T3 squad onto 200 points now. Cord and Yaki with their scores this evening. Just trying to get the results back up again. 5th for Cord, 7th for Yaki. So that's 32 plus 28. So that's 60 points in total. That moves... Just trying to get it up again. That moves them in front of SBR T3 on 206 points. So it's just a 6-point margin between those two teams at the top of the standings. So, yeah, that was a really unexpected result tonight. Didn't expect Frank to win that, but he did it after a disastrous race last week in Brands Hatch where he allegedly rage quitted, which he left himself with a ticket after the race. He made up for that tonight brilliantly, responding well to missing out on pole position by a quarter of a second from Darskell, but he came back to win. That was a fine effort from him. The next round of the championship will be at Zolder in Belgium in a week's time. 8:30 p.m, the start of qualifying approximately. Greenwich Mean Time, that is. So do make sure you tune in then. Thank you for watching. Do make sure you like and subscribe. And we'll do it all over again in 7 days' time. I'm Tom Cairns, and I'll speak to you again soon when the Formula Racing League returns.